Hey everyone, it's Schmuckles. Today we're going to be talking about the new matchmaking tests that are coming to DBD for the mid-chapter 23.5 patch and why I don't think it's going to be very good. So the new matchmaking experiments are going to be taking place one day at a time for the next 6 days, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's on the PTB, so you might as well get as many things tested as possible. When talking about what's changing each day, behavior is actually not going to tell us, and that's fine. The problem is this right here. One day may favor faster queues over match quality. So what they're pretty much saying here is if you get into a match faster, Survivor, during hours you wouldn't usually be getting faster queue times, you're going to be going against worse killers. The reason queue times for survivors are so long is because less people want to play killer at a higher MMR. So if queue times are going faster, you're going to be forcing players at a lower MMR to be going against better survivors. So you're essentially going to be putting in killers that aren't ready to face really good survivors against really good survivors. At the core of the matchmaking problems in Dead by Daylight at high MMR, it's coming down to the fact that the ratio is not 1:4 for killers to survivors. A lot of killer games at the highest MMR are fairly competitive matches, and to me, survivor games are pretty casual almost every time. But as survivor, I don't have to worry about snuffing out boon totems, keeping survivors off generators, making sure I'm getting a lot of hooks, and breaking down all the breakable walls on the map to make the loops shorter. And behavior saying they're going to prioritize finding the most even opponents possible, isn't that what they already did with MMR? Like, how is that going to be different from the current MMR? The only way it might be good to find faster queues over match quality is if you're completely mixing up survivors as well, so you have bad survivors paired with good survivors going against inexperienced killers. And if that's the route they decide to take it, I really feel experienced survivors are going to be frustrated with the quality of the match. If you're going against an inexperienced killer and your teammates are inexperienced as well, you're going to be subject to phasing all the time and your teammates just not doing generators or not really knowing how to play the game after all the hours you've spent playing the game and ranking up your account for no reason. You're going to have the killer frustrated if the killer tunnels a good survivor and loses the game for that, so the killers aren't going to be happy, and you're going to have survivors who are good who are phasing on the hooks and have teammates that don't know what they're doing. So it'd be a lose-lose situation for most killers and experienced survivors. I think if behavior wants to improve the matchmaking in DBD, they have to buff the base kit of killer. They literally need more people enjoying and playing killer at the higher MMR. So this is part 2 of the developer update, and they didn't actually give any like specific numbers or perks that they're changing with this. They gave a couple examples here and there, but there's not too much like we've seen in previous mid-chapter patches. We've got a couple of buffs for Ghostface, which is really good because this killer felt really weak at high MMRs, whether I'm playing against him or playing as him. They've added 15 seconds for how long a survivor is exposed. Marked survivors are no longer able to reveal Ghostface, which he's gonna really do well in jungle gyms against marked survivors now. Legion also received a buff, which was much needed because he's one of the weakest killers in Dead by Daylight. I don't know how much this buff on Legion is actually going to change him. Like, they've kind of buffed his Feral Frenzy ability, and that's not really the problem with Legion. The problem with Legion is that he's pretty useless against a team of injured survivors with like Dead Hard at the highest MMR. Him being able to down survivors with the 5th hit in his Frenzy ability is okay, but I don't know how much people are actually going to be using that. I feel it's pretty rare when I'm playing Legion that I get all 4 survivors in the deep wound status effect, and so you need to do that and then hit a 5th survivor. And nothing in the update here is addressing how terrible Legion does in chase. When Legion is in chase at his normal movement speed, he's pretty much a trapper with no bear trap. The highest level survivors are running so many perks that are either going to assist them in chase or be able to let them reset, like Circle of Healing, so a killer that only moves at 4.6 meters per second is not going to do well. Right now, Legion doesn't have anything helping him in chase, when survivors of the highest MMR are going to definitely be running like Sprint Burst, Dead Hard, Iron Will, things like this to help them while they're injured in chase. If the killer doesn't have something assisting them while they're in chase, they're just not a high level killer. I think the Hemorrhage rework is really cool. Survivors are actually going to lose healing progress at a rate of, it looks like, 7% per second. So if you catch a survivor right before they're done full healing, it'll take about 12 seconds and they'll be back to 0 charges on that heal. Like I said before, anything that's buffing the killer base kit is a step in the right direction for me. The updated difficulty ratings are good for new players. I don't really see this as like a big change. It looks like the Haddonfield update is coming in this mid-chapter as well, which is really exciting. I'm excited to see what that map looks like. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the mid-chapter changes. It feels a little bit lighter than the previous mid-chapters, if I'm being honest. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the game as itself at the highest level still feels really survivor-sided, and I don't think these changes are going to make that big of a difference in it. So that's it for the mid-chapter update, a video under 5 minutes. Goodbye.